Hey mamas, happy Tuesday. Danielle Kottis here. Today we're going to talk about identity. So new mama, if you are feeling like you are losing your identity, or you feel like you're not sure who you are or where your identity is right now, and if you feel lost within yourself right now and within your mind, we're going to talk about why this is totally normal, what you're feeling. We're going to talk about why you may feel this way and some ways that you can find your new identity. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Danielle Kottis. I'm your new mom coach, and I coach new expectant and toddler moms how to make the transition into motherhood. We work a lot on mindset, and we use the law of attraction to help you find your best self, have a new mindset about motherhood, and to become the best version of yourself for your children. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my story, and then we'll talk about some of my clients and what else you can do. So, hey, everybody on the replay, I love you guys. If you find this video helpful, please share it with your friends. I know you have at least 3 mom friends or groups that you're in that you can share with. My job is to spread as much news about this as possible. So, without further ado, I will tell you a quick story about me. So before Kiri was born, I was in between careers. So I was going back to school, trying to get into a physician's assistant program. So I had graduated with a degree in sports medicine and psychology, and I was sort of not too happy with my career, and I decided that I wanted to be able to help more people in a wider range of ways, and I figured that becoming a physician's assistant would be awesome. So I went back to school and I started taking prerequisite courses, spent a lot of money, applied to a lot of programs, and unfortunately did not get in. And after probably about 3 years of trying to get into a program, I found out in, I think, February, and I didn't get into my last program, and I just was distraught. I was so depressed. I was upset with myself that I didn't perform better in school when I went for my undergrad, and I was really disappointed that my goals and hopes and dreams were basically crushed. So I was at a crossroads as to what to do. And in order to get, the sun is really bright, in order to get into a physician's assistant program, you have to have clinical hours. And so I became a nurse aide to get some clinical hours. So I was unhappy with my job. Obviously, wiping asses wasn't exactly what I went to school for, although I learned a ton about care and helping others in a way that I never knew, and about health. So I was at a crossroads of whether I would go to nursing school or reapply to physician's assistant school. And a month later, I found out that I was pregnant. And instead of jumping for joy, I was actually somewhat distraught because I was not going to be able to go back to school right away. Even if I wanted to go full time, I wasn't sure how I was going to have someone watch my son. I wasn't sure how I was going to watch him, how I was going to get all my homework done, these things like that. So I spent 9 months miserable, worried, concerned, very fearful of the future. And after I gave birth, I was a mess. I realized how difficult it was to care for an infant, that it's a 24-hour job, that it doesn't go away, that my entire life now revolves around this little person, and that this little person has to come first in all things for some time, and that I wasn't going to be able to do a lot of the things that I had set out to do in my life. And what happened was that I wallowed in this kind of self-pity or worry and fear about the future. I truly felt that I was not going to be able to accomplish anything ever again, that I was not going to be able to become this physician assistant or a nurse or anything for that matter. I didn't know how we were going to find money for school, or how I was going to find a sitter or daycare or anything like that. And I was just miserable. So let's leave my school aside, and my changing careers aside, and just let's talk about just in general what my clients feel and what mothers feel in general. Is that, we look back at our lives after our baby is born. I'm getting so emotional right now. We look back on our lives and we kind of regret a lot of the decisions that we made, and that we did not do what we had set out to do, and we did not achieve some of the goals that we wanted to achieve, and maybe we are not at a place in our lives that we had thought that we would be. And that's obviously really upsetting. And looking back at that time frame, it was really upsetting. It was really sad and scary, and you felt guilty and disappointed in yourself that you didn't do all of those things, and that you spent a lot of time, partying and having a good time, but you did not actually do a lot of the things that you set out to do in life, and you can't figure out where all of that time went. And now that you have a baby, you realize that the time, you had so much time. You had so much time to do so many things, and you didn't do them. And what I find is that my clients, including myself, that, we spend a good portion of those first couple months looking back on our lives and doing almost like a life review of things we didn't do. And instead of looking at our accomplishments and what we did do and what kind of person we are now and where we are in our lives, we do a lot of self-reflection on all of the negative things that we did or that we did not choose to do. So I spent a lot of that time, as well as my clients do, looking back on our lives, and also looking at some of the free times that we had, the times that we partied, the times that we went out, that we binge watched Netflix, that we slept all day. We look back on those times and we miss those times too, right? So now that we have this infant, we can't just get in the car and go wherever the heck we want, anytime we want. And we can't just leave the house anytime we want. We can't go on date nights anytime we want. We can't necessarily go out and party at the club till all hours of the night and get drunk and wake up and sleep off our hangover for 2 days. So looking back at that time, I was almost mourning the experiences that I will no longer have. I mourned the loss of not being able to do those things. I mourned the loss of myself, my identity, right? So when we talk about identity, what we're this crisis that we're going through is that we're mourning the loss of our identity, because we are losing part of ourselves, right? So we are identifying with our job or our hobbies or going out, partying, where our identity is based on those things that we do, or we did. And what you're noticing is that those things, a lot of them, you can no longer do on a regular basis, or you can no longer really ever do, depending upon what you're looking back on. So what I find is that my clients, including myself, we spend time looking back, saying, oh my gosh, what happened? Where did I go? Like, now I'm not this person anymore. Now I cannot binge watch on Netflix. Now I cannot get drunk or get high whenever I want, or I cannot, go for that job as, a lawyer or something like that, because who's going to watch my kid? Or, I should have, could have, would have, all this stuff. So we find that, part of us is leaving it's leaving us, and we're not sure if it's ever going to return. And then, we're now consumed with baby. We're consumed with baby. And all we see is that this baby is life. That's it. That's everything. We're responsible for its sole survival, whether it's going to thrive or not, and we don't have time for ourselves because we're so consumed with baby, and we got to feed, and we got to change, and we got to put baby to sleep, and we got to make sure baby's breathing, and we got to make sure baby has all the right things. And so because we're consumed with baby, we now are consumed with the idea that we are just a mother, that, oh my God, we are going to be like this 1950s housewife, right? So now the fear sets in that, am I going to never do anything with my life because all I'm going to do is just be a mom, right? A mom and a wife. And as we sit on maternity leave, we struggle with the fact of, are we going to go back to work? Are we going to be able to stay at home? Are we going to be able to go back to school? Wherever you are in your life, you struggle with the fear of whether or not you're going to be able to do things because baby is consuming us. Mom identity is consuming us. Wife or, girlfriend is consuming us. Our whole life now revolves around this baby and being mom and being wife. And so because now we feel that identity has left us and ourselves, right? Because now it's baby and wife or baby and girlfriend, we've lost ourselves. We've lost ourselves in the idea that our whole lives now are consumed by baby, and it will be consumed by baby forever. And in those first couple months, and for some people, first couple years or multiple years, you see mothers who are depressed and miserable and anxious for years to come. And what happens is that now we get to a point where we kind of resent the fact that we became a parent. We feel like, what were we thinking? That if we knew that this identity crisis was going to hit, if we knew that a piece of us was going to leave, why would we do this? Why, if this fear was so intense, if we knew that this anxiety was going to be there, or this depression, we wouldn't have done this. So now we're entering this state of, resentment and anger at ourselves and guiltiness about feeling this way too. And it just keeps wallowing over us. And it's just like this wave that just keeps coming and coming, and our brain keeps going and going and going. And we feel like we will never feel ourselves again. And I totally understand this. And I want to tell you that this is so normal. This is so normal. What we don't talk about as a generation, or as in social media, and what we don't talk about and what we don't let people in on, is that this is a normal experience. This is something that happens to every mom. Some don't talk about it. Some experience it more than others. Some get over it easier. But this is a completely normal experience that you're having. This is, I can't tell you that this is just so much a part of getting into motherhood that you should learn that it's okay to have these feelings. It's okay to fear the future, to look in the past and worry that you didn't do the right thing. What we don't realize is that having a baby causes us to look at ourselves and notice that maybe we weren't doing everything right, that maybe we were slacking in some areas, or maybe we weren't as motivated in certain areas. What it shows us is almost the dark side of us, right? So what we need to work on, what we missed out, what we want to do, it shows us our aspirations, our goals. It actually opens up a whole new perspective. So if instead you look at this identity crisis as a way of growth, as opposed to a way of like despair and depression, I want you to look at this identity crisis as a way of growth, a way of showing you who you are meant to be, what you need to fix in yourself, or what you need to work on, or or, maybe you need to start looking at what drives you in life. What is your passion? Maybe your purpose is raising your child. Maybe that is your new purpose, So I want you to look at this identity crisis as more of a growth period that you're having, and that this is something that you need to look more into. And again, that this is a natural experience that we all have. It's just, what do we do with this identity crisis that we're having? Why are we feeling this way? Why do I feel, or my clients feel, that we are just, mothers and just wives? And why do we feel like a piece of us is left? So I want you to start to journal on that. Start to write this down. Figure out what it is that's causing this identity crisis. What is it that you feel like you cannot do or cannot accomplish in life? Or what is it that now is missing from you that you feel like you are not you? When you journal and when you sit and think about this, I want you to not so much focus on all the negative, even though I want you to write that down as well. Focus on what it is that this is telling you. What is it telling you about yourself? What is it showing? What is it bringing up that you can use as a powerful tool to help yourself grow? What is it going to drive you to start making those changes? When I found myself so depressed, and I find my clients so depressed and so upset that they lost their identity, what I ask them is who do you want to be? Who is it that you are looking to be? Who is it that or what identity are you looking to be? Again, we identify a lot with our jobs. We identify a lot with our hobbies. We identify a lot with, what we've done in our lives or what we didn't do. So I want you to start working on creating a new identity for yourself, right? That includes you, mom, wife, friend, grandma, not grandma, mom, wife, business owner, if you're a doctor or a nurse or whatever. I want you to start noticing that your identity is not just one thing. When I think about this, I think about it as if it was like a football player who, all his whole life was football, and he gets into the NFL, he makes all this money, and then he gets injured and he can never play football again. His only identity was a football player. So he literally lost his whole identity because he can no longer play football ever again. So who are you? So this football player has two choices. He can wallow in his self-pity that he will never be a football player again, that he's lost his identity. But the truth is that football is not your identity, right? It's not his identity. His identity is who he is as a person. What are your passions? What do you love to do? Do you love to read? Do you love to help others? Your identity is so many different things. It's not just one. It's not just one. So when we feel like it is just one thing, like I felt like I just wanted to be a physician assistant, that my identity was riding on the fact that I needed to go back to school. When it leaves and when the option is no longer there, it feels as if you've lost a part of you. But in reality, you have lost nothing. You have lost nothing, right? Because either you've never had it, or it's not all that important in life, right? There's so many other things that are important, and your identity is so many other things. But it's what's inside. So when you're journaling, I want you to figure out what it is that drives you. What's your passion? What's your love? Who do you want to be? What kind of mom? What kind of wife? What kind of person? What kind of friend do you want to be? And I want you to start writing it down. And then I want you to get to the point where you can start taking steps to building that identity back up again, to building that self-esteem, to build that confidence. So for me, figuring out what my passion and my mission in life was what was driving me to find my identity again. Like, what could I do where I feel content and feel purposeful as a mom, as a wife, as a person, as a healer, as a helper? And what I found was what I do right now, right? I wrote a book. I went halfway across the world at a writer's workshop. Like, I started a coaching business. I started searching for what was inside of me that could find a mission and find a purpose, where I felt purposeful and that I felt like I had an identity, that I felt like I was doing something for myself, that I felt like I was doing something for my family. Find that thing that makes you feel like you have a mission, a purpose in life. So for some people, that purpose is raising your kids, staying home and raising your kids. If that is your purpose, then fulfill it. But if your purpose is not just that, if it's not just to be a mom and it's not just to be a wife, then find out what that purpose is. It will bring back your identity. It will make you feel whole and content again. If you can find that thing that drives you, that lights you up, that makes you feel good, that is your identity. That is what's going to bring back that hope that you can be yourself, an individual and a mom and a wife or a girlfriend. You can do all of these things. You are all these things. So what you're doing as a new mom is losing your identity, right? Going through this crisis, this turmoil. And then what you're doing is creating you're creating this new, better version of you and your identity and your passions and your dreams and your hopes. It's, excuse me, searching for your growth, learning how to grow, learning about yourself, learning about spirituality and helping yourself grow in the best way that you possibly can. Not getting stuck on the fact that you've lost it, you are alone, or that you don't know who you are. Life is about finding out who you are. So if we only identify with this person that we were before a child, you'll never be able to go forward. You'll never be able to grow and to learn and become this beautiful person that you never knew you could be. This is what I believe is the purpose of children and having babies, is so that they can show us, they can help us grow into this amazing new person that we never knew we were. They help us to tap into these lost versions of ourselves, this hidden talents, things that we didn't know we could do, feelings we didn't know we could have. They help us show it. They show us the best version of ourselves if we let them. If we embrace ourselves in this identity crisis, embrace ourselves and say, this is okay that I'm having these feelings, that it's all right that I feel this way. But what can I do to make this shitty feeling into a better circumstance? How can I make this bad feeling feel better? Immerse yourself in that feeling, embrace it, know that this is normal and that it's totally okay that you're feeling this way. And that at the end of this journey of this identity crisis is a humongous breakthrough. I never knew in my life that I could write a book. I never knew that I could coach new moms how to make a transition. I didn't know I can own my own business. I never had that drive, that motivation. And my child, through all my postpartum depression, anxiety, my identity crisis, all this crazy stuff that I've been through, it has helped me become a better version of myself. It's helped me find a new identity, helped me find a new passion and mission in life. And so know that you can do this, that there's a huge breakthrough at the end of this. I promise you that if you embrace it and you learn from it and you journal and you think about it and you make steps to push yourself to a new identity that incorporates everything in your life, that you will come out on top, that you'll be amazed at how much you can do in your life versus how you feel right now. So thank you all so much for being on the line with me. I really hope this helps. And I want nothing more than to support you and love you and tell you that you are doing just amazing and that life is going to get better and you are better and it is better right now. You're just not seeing it. So take those steps, push yourself a little bit forward. You will find happiness. You will find your identity. You will find who you are. At the end of this breakthrough, you have to push yourself to find it. So if you don't already like me on Facebook, please like my fan page, The Unfamiliar Mom. Please join our wonderful new mom Facebook group. It's called the New Mom Sisterhood. And if you're pregnant, you can join the Newly Expectant Mom Tribe, our private Facebook group. Please like me on Instagram and please share this. Please share this. If you like this video, please like it. Please send me some love and please share it with your friends. I love you guys so much. I'll see you soon.